Good evening, dear students. Today we are going to learn something very important part of human reproduction, the female reproductive cycle, which is called as menstrual cycle. Now, first question arises, what is menstrual cycle? I can define menstrual cycle as periodic discharge of blood, periodic discharge of blood through vagina of a non-pregnant female. Periodic discharge of blood through vagina of a non-pregnant female. Now, first question arises, when I say periodic, that means what changes? Then I can tell you that there is two major periodic changes take place. One in endometrium of the female, second in ovary. So if you check, we are talking about ovarian hormones and the follicles which are also present in the ovaries. So in case of female, which females? I am talking about mammalian primates. Who are included in this? Man, monkeys and apes. So today what we are going to talk about is for mammalian primate. The female reproductive cycle is called as menstrual cycle. Now we will specifically stick to female reproductive cycle, human female reproductive cycle. So in case of humans, female reproductive cycle, a normal cycle is 28 days, which is divided into 4 phases. 1 to 4 day is called as menstrual phase. 5 to 13 is called as follicular or proliferative phase. 14th day, single day, is called as ovulatory phase, while 15 to 28 day is called as luteal phase or secretory phase. Now, see, it's a complex because there are the 4 changes which take place simultaneously in the body of female. One place is pituitary, its hormone fluctuate. Second place is ovarian follicles, they undergo development. Third place is ovarian hormones, again their level fluctuates. Last but most important is endometrium. If you recollect, endometrium was the innermost lining of uterus, which is highly vascular and glandular layer when it is developed. So let's start. Now, to understand this topic now, my advice for you is that don't try to learn the cycle at a one go. Learn phase by phase. Now, when I told you that a normal menstrual cycle is for 28 days, in addition to that, I also told you it is divided into 4 phases. So, let's first concentrate on the first phase, which is 1 to 4 day. The first 4 day is called as menstrual phase. Now, how you will consider that this is the first day? Now, for that, I can tell you that, remember, female when experiences discharge of blood through vagina, the day blood start coming out through vagina is considered as first day of menstrual cycle. So, if we consider today's day, now suppose in some female, today blood started coming out through vagina, then that female will consider today as the first day of menstrual cycle. So let's start. First day of menstrual cycle, let us consider what happened on the first day of menstrual cycle. Here the level of estrogen and progesterone is very low. So remember, on the first day of menstrual cycle, estrogen and progesterone level is low. Now, because of the low level of estrogen and progesterone, endometrium start breaking. Remember, endometrium can remain healthy only if estrogen progesterone level is there. If estrogen progesterone level is not there, endometrium start breaking. Now this breaking of endometrium, if you recollect, I told you endometrium is highly vascular layer. So when that layer breaks, blood starts coming out through vagina. So can you see this discharge of blood here? Yes. So the moment blood start coming out, we consider that as a first stage. So now why blood is coming out? Because endometrium is breaking. But why endometrium is breaking? Answer for that is estrogen progesterone is low. Now remember, for first 4 days, what you have to remember, low level of estrogen and progesterone causes breaking of endometrium, due to which blood cells, cell debris starts coming out through vagina. This is called menstrual phase. Also, low level of estrogen and progesterone stimulate pituitary to release FSH. Low level of estrogen and progesterone stimulate pituitary to release FSH. So follicle stimulating hormone. Can you see that follicle stimulating hormone? The level is rising? Yes. So for first phase, simple. Low level of estrogen and progesterone causes breaking of endometrium and blood start coming out through vagina. It also stimulates pituitary to release FSH. Remember this much. Remember which hormones are low. Remember which hormone is starting. Now we come to the second phase. Second phase is 5 to 13. When I say 5 to 13, please try to understand. This phase is called as follicular phase or proliferative. I can call this phase as post-menstrual. Okay. This can also be called as pre-ovulatory, because just after this phase ovulation will take place. So remember, we have follicular phase or proliferative or post-menstrual, pre-ovulatory. Now please try to understand 5 to 13 day. Increasing level of FSH. See, pituitary was increasing the level of FSH. Increased level of FSH causes follicles to develop. See, follicles are developing, primary to secondary, secondary to tertiary, tertiary to Graafian follicle. So what happened during each menstrual cycle, roughly around 10 to 15 follicles start developing in the ovary. They go through these stages, primary, secondary, tertiary and Graafian. So follicles start developing. Remember, these follicles develop because of the stimulation of FSH. So remember, 5 to 13 days, which we call it as follicular phase, due to increased level of FSH, follicles start developing. This developing follicle produces estrogen. So see, estrogen level is rising. Increased level of estrogen causes repairing of endometrium. See, the endometrium is repairing, so bleeding will stop. So simple, 5 to 13 day. Increased level of FSH causes development of follicle. Developing follicle produces estrogen. Increased level of estrogen repairs endometrium and bleeding stop. So I hope 5 to 13 days phase clear with you. So if I check any female during this phase, her estrogen level will be high. Now we come to the next phase, that is 14th day. 14th day we call it as ovulatory phase. Now remember, high level of estrogen because the follicle is developing. So almost on the 13th day of menstrual cycle, estrogen level is quite high. It stimulates the release of LH. LH level increases. Increased level of LH. LH luteinizing hormone causes rupturing of Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle breaks and ovum is released. Now, if you recollect, I have told you 10 to 15 follicles are developing. So, one Graafian follicle ruptures, ovum is released. What about the other follicle? They degenerate. Now, if they degenerate, then what will happen? There will be no production of estrogen. So, see, estrogen level is decreasing. Now, for 14th day, what you have to remember, be very careful. increased level of LH causes ovulation and formation of corpus luteum. Now what is this corpus luteum? After ovulation, remaining structure which is there in Graafian follicle, they absorb pigment and become yellowish color body called corpus luteum. So once more, ovulatory phase, 14th day, increased level of LH causes ovulation and formation of corpus luteum. Remaining developing follicles degenerate. Clear this much? Great. Now we come to the last phase of the menstrual cycle, that is 15 to 28 day. Remember, this phase 15 to 28 day, roughly around 14 day, always remain constant. Okay, what happens here? The corpus luteum which is formed, it acts as a temporary endocrine gland. It acts as a temporary endocrine gland and produces progesterone. So see, the progesterone level, the one which was still from starting to here 14 day, the level was low. Now suddenly its level rises. Now the moment progesterone level rises, see what happening for endometrium. Now if you see the endometrium, it is also progressively becoming thicker and thicker and thicker because the progesterone level is high. So from where we are getting progesterone? We are getting from corpus luteum. Now remember, I told you on 14th day of menstrual cycle, corpus luteum is formed, which acts as a temporary endocrine gland, produces progesterone. Because of this progesterone, endometrium become progressively thicker in anticipation of pregnancy. Now if pregnancy occur, then this corpus luteum will remain active throughout the pregnancy. But if pregnancy do not occur, then this corpus luteum roughly around after 7 to 8 days start degenerating. If it starts degenerating, it forms white color body called as corpus albicans. The moment it forms corpus albicans, there is no one to produce progesterone or estrogen. So progesterone estrogen level gradually decreases. Can you see that? And by the end of 28th day, the level become lowest. If the level become lowest, what happened? Endometrium will once again start breaking. See, endometrium is breaking. Why it is breaking? Because estrogen and progesterone level is low. Now if it is bleeding, then that is considered as first day of menstrual cycle. That means this is the beginning of new menstrual cycle. Clear? Again, FSH level will go ahead, means entire process will repeat. So let me come back to starting phase. I told you menstrual cycle is a periodic discharge of blood through vagina of a non-pregnant female. In normal female, it lasts for 28 days and is divided into 4 phases. 1 to 4 day menstrual phase, 5 to 13 days follicular phase, 14 day ovulatory phase, 15 to 28 day luteal or secretory phase. Now 1 to 4 day, I told you, low level of estrogen and progesterone causes breaking of endometrium, which results into discharge of blood through vagina. Also, low level of estrogen and progesterone stimulate pituitary to release FSH. Now come to 5 to 13 days. 5 to 13 days, increased level of FSH causes developing of follicle. 10 to 15 follicles start developing in ovary. Developing follicle produces estrogen. Increased level of estrogen causes repairing of endometrium and bleeding stops. 14th day ovulatory phase. High level of estrogen stimulate the release of LH. LH causes ovulation and formation of corpus luteum. Remaining developing follicle degenerate. 15 to 28 days, corpus luteum which is formed act as a temporary endocrine gland, produces progesterone. If pregnancy occur, it remains active, so progesterone level remain active, so endometrium remains thick. If pregnancy do not occur, then corpus luteum degenerate to form corpus albicans. Level of estrogen and progesterone decreases. By the end of 28 day, the level of estrogen and progesterone is lowest, which causes endometrium to break once again, which results into beginning of new menstrual cycle. Clear? Now, what I am able to conclude from this is that for a normal menstrual cycle, ovulation takes place on 14th day. Now please remember, if you want to learn this topic, please learn phase by phase. Phase 1, what happens? Phase 2, what happens? Phase 3, what happened? And in phase 4, what happens? Clear? So this is a female reproductive cycle. Now remember, when a girl is born, there is no menstrual cycle. Generally, menstrual cycle start at the age of around 12 to 14 years. First menstrual cycle is called menarche. This reproductive cycle continues till around age of 40-45 years. Around 45 years, menstrual cycle stops because of the hormonal changes, and that phase is called menopause. So between menarche to menopause is considered as reproductive phase of this female. Clear? Now remember, I told you during menstrual cycle, ovum is released on 14th day. That means chances for pregnancy is in this phase, around this phase, is very high. So generally 12 to 18th day of menstrual cycle is considered as risk period because chances for pregnancy is high. First 7 and last 7 days are considered to be safe period because chances for pregnancy is less. But remember, this is not a 100% method. Clear?